Hey, this is Anna Bevan Grabley with NCFREE, and I am joined by Judge Jefferson Griffin, who is running for Court of Appeals in November. And Jefferson, we actually go pretty far back, and so it's great to be able to interview you in this capacity. Before we get started, is there anything you'd like to share with our members?
Thanks for having me, Anna Bevan. We are fellow Nash County natives.
We are, yeah.
Yeah, that's always important to point out. But I do appreciate you having us on here. It's hard, and oftentimes people ask, how can we get information about judicial candidates? So I really appreciate you and NC doing this for us and letting us participate in a conversation with you. Like I said, I grew up in Nash County on a farm there, went to Northern Nash High School, made my way to Chapel Hill and then North Carolina Central for law school, and started practicing law in Kinston, and traveled all over the eastern part of the state doing a civil defense and criminal defense practice there, and small town, so everything that walked in the door to. I had some great mentors in that practice, and joined the DA's office in Wake County under Colin Willoughby. Prosecuted cases, everything from infractions to homicides there, and then was appointed to the bench in 2015, stood election in 2016. And in addition to that, one of the things I'm most proud of is that I serve in the North Carolina Army National Guard. And a reason that maybe everybody hasn't seen me out on the campaign trail this year as much as I'd like to is last summer I got activated and put on federal orders, so I had to remove myself from the campaign and was deployed to the Middle East with the 30th Armored Brigade Combat Team. So served with some great patriots from all over North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, Ohio. We had a good group, and it got a little more interesting than we had anticipated over there, especially around January when we had the strike on General Soleimani, and then Iran responded with the ICBM. So it got pretty interesting there for a while, but back safe, very grateful, and so glad to be home to my wife, Katie. Where we live here in Raleigh. Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll go ahead and just get started. Which one of the current or recent U.S. Supreme Court justices most identifies, or you identify with, with your judicial philosophy?
Out of the current justices, I'd say Justice Thomas and Justice Gorsuch are probably the two that I would consistently agree with their legal reasoning or their judicial philosophy on most issues out of the ones that we have.
Yeah. Would you like to expand on what your judicial philosophy is?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that oftentimes is hard for people to get information about, or even harder for non-lawyers to understand the way we articulate that. So I try to get it out as much as possible. So I would say my judicial philosophy is that of an originalist. What that means is I believe that it should be viewed, the legal document, whether it's the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, any statute, any legal document should be viewed through the lens of when it was written. And along with that, a textualist as well, which means I look at the four corners of the document and take that information from there. Don't try to add anything in or take anything out. But when you combine the originalist and the textualist philosophies and interpretations, I believe that is the most consistent with what our judicial system was meant to be, as far as a check on the constitutionality of our laws, as opposed to, you would say usually it's a conservative versus liberal point of view when you're talking about judiciary. But I don't know how you can justify any other judicial philosophy besides originalism and textualism without advocating for judicial activism. That's just the way I look at it. I don't think you can say, if you try to start interpreting things in a different world than where they were written, or say, and that's not what actually was intended at that time, or that those words don't they mean something different now, then all you're doing is asking for judicial activism. And I really, I think that's the battle we're in now in our court system. It's no longer a conservative versus liberal, maybe judicial philosophy. It's basically either I believe what it says and we'll stick to it, or I'm going to try to legislate from the bench. I feel that's unfortunately where we are at this point.
Yeah. What would you say are the key principles of free enterprise?
Yeah, I would say limited role of government, private ownership rights, equality under the law for everyone. Those are all, and the ability to let an entrepreneurial spirit flourish. I think those are all, yeah, back from when I was young and went to a bunch of free enterprise leadership conferences from a young age, and yeah, that's always been something that's been important to me. And yeah, really, especially getting back from the Middle East. Yeah, a lot of people take for granted one, our judicial system, two, our free enterprise economy and the ability for people to really flourish and succeed and show their talents without government interference.
Yeah, yeah. So when you were in undergrad and law school, what sorts of jobs, activities, and volunteer work did you take part in?
When I was an undergrad, I did a lot with the Muscular Dystrophy Association. That was a philanthropy that was really, really close to me and some of the organizations I was in. And yeah, during the summers, I would personally, and I'd encourage my buddies to go to the Muscular Dystrophy Association camp. They had an in-person camp, and it was really, man, it put things in perspective very quickly. So I tried to do that as many summers as possible. It was I think it was a week or 2 weeks. Sometimes some of them were 2 weeks. But it was kids with MDA would come, and yeah, it was the most normal week they'd have because there were other kids with MDA there. It lets you know how labor intensive it was for the parents, and the hard part about that was the kids. Most of their minds are just sharp as tacks, but their bodies are deteriorating, and so it takes a lot of help to get, but things that they couldn't do during a normal week. We'd play sports and stuff that normal campers would do, and that was really rewarding and put things in perspective really fast, especially for college kids at Carolina. So I encourage my buddies to go do that. I did intern at on Capitol Hill during one college summer. I went up and worked for Congressman Walter Jones, and back from the old 3rd District in Nash County. Red Oak, where I grew up, used to be in his district, and he was always a gentleman to me when I was up there, and enjoyed that experience. In law school, I went and worked at the DA's office in Craven County. So that was Craven, Pamlico, and Carteret County, that office down there. So I worked with the law office eventually. They recruited me out of the DA's office that summer, but I even got to try cases during law school, which was it's kind of, they've got a 3rd year practice thing now where you can do that if you have a good mentor. And the DA's office down there allowed me to do that, which was awesome. So that really kind of sparked my desire to go into in the trial courts and eventually into the DA's office in Wake County. And then I was a charter fisherman. I got my captain's license and charter fished. And when I was working down in Craven County, I'd get pulled to go fishing tournaments and make a little extra money doing that here and there. So that was also some of what I did. So it wasn't all work. I got to fish a little bit.
Well, good.
Yeah.
What would you say is your greatest accomplishment in your legal career and then in your personal life?
Oh man, legal career. I keep going back. Yeah, when I was a DA here in Wake County, I was a domestic violence prosecutor. Colin Willoughby, who was the DA at the time, assigned me in there, and he's like, this can be some of the best training and most rewarding work that you could do, but it can also be the most difficult and the most draining. And he was right about all of it. It's hard for me to single out one part of that, but just the number of domestic violence victims and folks that were going through hard times that I got to have personal connections with, and when my job in there was to find the truth, and sometimes it wasn't what we thought it was, right? But regardless, watching them break that cycle of violence and come out of there and have people crying to you in a conference room, and that's probably it was everything that you dream about when you're in law school, or I did anyway, about helping people while we went to law school, and so that was very rewarding. I guess it's not one specific thing. And then I'll say taking my commission in the Army too was
Mm.
as a JAG officer was something I believe deeply in my whole life, and that was a very proud personal moment for me. In my personal life, also probably convincing my wife to say yes when I asked her to marry me. I did very well for myself, and I met her at my Kiwanis club, and I was a membership chair, and I was trying to get her to join also, but so I got her to marry me, but I still haven't gotten her to join Kiwanis. So, but that's still pending. I haven't given up on that yet. I'm pretty relentless there.
Good.
But we'll see.
Yeah. Man. So what would you say your vision for the judiciary is, and what changes would you advocate for and why?
Yeah, this is a great question. We should strive for equal justice for all in every avenue of our justice system, and I've dedicated my entire legal career really to that, mostly in public service, and it's a deeply held belief of mine that we all are treated equal under the law. And coming back, when I came back home from the deployment, I've been gone almost a year and got back a couple weeks ago after quarantine. Came back to a very different place in North Carolina and in the world. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, this is still the greatest country in the world. And my personal belief is it's the greatest state in the country, but I guess that's still up for debate. But we by far have the best justice system in the world. And it's something that needs to be celebrated. And are there ways to improve it? Yeah, there's a couple of ways. I believe in recovery courts. I volunteer out at Healing Transitions, which is a recovery addiction center here in Wake County, and I can see how intense that is. And yeah, we can keep throwing money at everything we want, but until humans start caring about each other as humans and have personal connections with people, it's really hard to get over that hump. But recovery courts, they work. With the test kit, the rape test kit backlog, I don't understand how that's not been addressed after the last two attorney general have been in there. Attorney General Stein's been, it seems like he's got his foot in every federal lawsuit, but I care about the things, I think North Carolinians care about the things that we can control here, which is something like that, which is that's an issue that we've got to get fixed. It's inexcusable. And I'm a big believer that justice delayed is justice denied. We've got to find a way it's not fair for defendants, crime victims, the state of North Carolina to have cases pending for years and years. I mean, I see it every day in the trial courts, and it's not fair to anybody, and it only makes the cases worse from my experience. But trying them, inheriting those kind of cases, and hearing them as a judge, and with Chief Justice Beasley has halted all our jury trials due to the COVID response, and those are tough decisions. But I mean, let's get real. We hadn't had a jury trial I think since March, and it's already stopped through October. So making sure that we have timely access to justice also is something that we can really improve on.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to our members. Before we close out, where can we go to learn more about you?
So we've got a good social media presence on Facebook, Twitter. We also got a website, jeffersongriffin.com. It's got a lot of information about there. And, like I said, please, I hope your membership will look at these videos. I know you've done a great job and put a lot of effort into it. And tell your friends, tell people about, what you've heard on here. I think North Carolinians, when they look at our choices for judicial candidates this year, there's a clear choice, and I think they'll go my way in my race anyway. So I appreciate the time, and thank you so much. Again, it's jeffersongriffin.com, and it's seat 13 on the North Carolina Court of Appeals. And just for a public service announcement, there's 3 Supreme Court seats and 5 Court of Appeals seats. So each seat is independent, so it will be partisan on the ballot. That was a change, but we'll all those seats have 2 candidates each, so they're not crossed up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was great being able to talk to you and to learn more about your background and share that with the membership of NCFREE. So have a great rest of the day and good luck on the campaign trail.
Thanks, Anna Bevan. Appreciate the time.